Oh, yes. This is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. And with a click of a button, we're live. And this is going to be a blast. I have met my match here, a fellow podcaster and a fellow marketer who has gone rogue. That's right. All this experience in marketing, and then she went into sales. And not only did she go into sales, she crushed it. Sales Hacker Top 50 Award for Sales Leadership. Top saleswoman to watch in 2019. Top 35 most influential women in sales. Holy crapola. This is like crazy. I'm about to learn left and right here. VP of Sales and Marketing at SmartBug Media, Jen Spencer. How you doing?
Hey, it's so great to be here. And thanks for reading off that resume. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's sometimes it's just so much. I'm like, oh my gosh, and I can get lost in it and just go down tangents. I hear some people though have like clipped that and made that their wake up alarm in the morning. You know?
Oh, really? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for being here. The theme, it's our marketing leadership series and marketing and sales leadership, talking to thought leaders like yourself, learning from you in like classes and session, and then eventually learning more about you. So to start out, I want to pass you this. It's heavy, but I think you can handle it. This is Thor's hammer. And so go ahead, take that. And there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
You got it. Oh, look at that. It's heavy. It's not as heavy for you as it is
No,
for me.
no, super light. Yeah.
I need to work out more. Take that Thor's hammer and smash some kind of marketing myth, misconception, bogus strategy, and just set the record straight once and for all.
Sure, I'd love to. So one of the myths that I hear, one of the things that makes me absolutely insane is when I hear sales leaders or marketing leaders, either side, think that marketing should stop nurturing leads when they become an opportunity. And this makes me so crazy because if sales is asking for marketing to stop nurturing the leads, then to me that means there's potentially some trust issues. If marketing is saying we're going to stop nurturing these leads, it's now in sales hands, then marketing's not doing their job. So as a whole, it's not about stopping nurturing. Like, no, do you want to send an email to somebody who has already requested a demo and is deep in a deal stage? Do you want to send an email to them asking them to request a demo? No, you absolutely do not. But if you're practicing like true intelligent inbound marketing and you're actually supporting people where they are along their buyer's journey, then you should never stop nurturing them. And that goes true, that holds true even for when someone becomes a customer. Once they become a customer, you're not done communicating with them. In fact, in many cases, that's when you need to be doing that's your most important marketing time, because those customers are expensive to onboard. They're expensive to acquire. You want to keep them. You don't want them to churn. And those customers could be referring you new business, and that's going to come in kind of gratis, right? You're not having to pay customer acquisition costs for that. So I just get crazy when people say, stop doing something, and they say no to an entire kind of approach based off of what? Based off of maybe they're not doing nurturing correctly in their organization. So that's just one of the things that makes me absolutely insane.
Drives you crazy. Just smash that with a hammer. Yeah. How does this happen? Is it just because marketing is just messing up and we're not paying attention to where things are at and we're sending those goofy emails?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that happen. One is that when people say to me, "Yeah, no, we nurture, we have workflows. We're using Marketo, HubSpot, Eloqua, whatever it is they're using, right? And Pardot, and they're nurturing those individuals. Just because you have lead nurture campaigns set up doesn't mean they're good." Right?
Yeah.
So
that's a quote right there. Boom. Just because you have them set it up doesn't mean they're good. That's a quote for the record books right there. Totally.
So it's like I've looked at some people's nurture emails, and it's like literally just like beating them over the head with the same message over and over and over again. And you might as well just be like spamming them, right? Like, or you're not adding any kind of value. So I think as marketers, we have to really take a close look at the nurture campaigns we set up and be auditing them, be analyzing them, looking at their effectiveness, setting goals for them, and then determining, if they're working, and if they're and also how we can improve them. So I think marketing needs to do that. The challenge is, I think most marketers that are practicing some kind of like inbound nurture type of methodology, they know they should be doing these things, but they've got so much on their plate. They're so overwhelmed that they're just trying to get through kind of the next thing, right? And then the pressure that they have is, just fill the top of the funnel, like acquire, like bring in new people. And so the energy is focused there versus on supporting folks kind of along their journey. So I think that's kind of one of those pieces. It's not that marketers want to be like sending bad emails or like irrelevant emails, and no one yeah, I mean, like, no one, regardless of what you do, no one sets out to just do a bad job, right? Like,
right.
but
like the villains in movies never think they're the bad guy, right? They're just trying to get their job done.
Exactly. So I just think, I think about even my own database, my own ecosystem. There's things that like I lie in bed at night thinking, oh, this could be better and that could be better. And I'm obsessive, right? Like I live and breathe this stuff. So I think that we just have to be really, really real about like what's working and what do we know that's working and what can be improved. And then we have to, like, as marketers, listen to what sales tells us. If you do see that people are getting like too much of the one kind of communication, or there's something that's really irrelevant that they're getting, and we actually take that feedback and we do something with it.
Right. And I get sales aside from it. If you're sending that crap we were talking about earlier, if your drips aren't actually helpful, they're just annoying and remind you to check this product out or something, then I would want to protect my deal. No marketing, nobody else, leave this alone. Only I contact them because you're not helpful. But if it was helpful, and you took that timing into consideration, then I could see like, oh, keep it coming. I want to keep reminding them that we provide value. As long as, I had this thing happen. I don't know if you've ever had like bad nurturing happen, but I was about to pen a deal. I think it was like with GoToMeeting or something. And I was kind of hashing stuff out, kind of negotiating with the rep. And then sure enough, I get this promotion email saying like, 50% off seats or something. And I was like, oh, cool. And I forwarded it to the guy. And I was like, cool. So I've been looking for this too. And he was about to get like the regular deal the way it was. I'm like, no, I'll take that discount. And it threw everything for, I had to recalculate, resend the SOW and all this.
If I was that sales rep, I'd be pissed.
Super pissed, right?
But then it's like, that just shows bad communication between marketing and sales. And no one likes to be, the other factor that like I'm always, hyper conscious of is the message that you share with one segment of your database may not be the most appropriate to share with another segment of your database. So that kind of a promotion should never have been sent to someone who was in an active opportunity, right? Because you're already engaged. But it's the same thing as like when you see a commercial, if you ever watch commercials anymore, which I rarely do. Usually it's because I'm watching a sporting event, and so it's the only like live thing I watch anymore. But then you see like there's a deal with like a cell phone carrier. It's like perfect example, right? And it's like here's this special offer, but it's just for new customers, right? It's like, well, what about the customers that I've been with you for 10 years, 20 years? Like I get, like, what do I get? Like I don't get anything special. I've showed loyalty. I've been committed. So especially
if it's worse than your deal, right? You're like,
right.
I'm paying like twice as much as that. What's going on?
How does that happen?
Yeah.
And so with the TV commercials, like, we're not at a place yet in marketing where we can kind of hyper target what commercials someone's going to see while they're watching an NFL game, but we definitely can 100% control what email communications we're sending.
For sure. You know what? I'm totally frustrated that TV is such a laggard in that. Like, I wouldn't mind. I'm watching something and then here pops up an ad for like Pardot something. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, maybe I'll write that one down. Or, hey Siri, remind me of that one tomorrow. Yeah, like,
Right.
oh, okay, maybe I should buy that thing. No, it's like Oil of Olay. It's something I'm not ever gonna even. That's not the wrong audience completely. And it's like, oh man, like, come on, YouTube knows what they're doing. Why can't
Yeah.
cable catch up?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They're definitely behind. It is interesting. Yeah, Instagram keeps serving me ads of all kinds of things that I will buy.
Will
So,
buy. Okay, right. Do you remember
yeah.
like the last one you saw?
Oh, well, I should preface it by saying I'm on like an Instagram purchasing hiatus because I had a bad experience.
Oh, what
But
happened?
um I bought something it was a scam.
Was it from
So
Belarus? Right now, someone in Belarus is like, hey.
yeah, no, I don't know. This is like, it's embarrassing. Is
Mm,
this burrito blanket? so, I don't
really?
know if you've seen it, but like there is like a company, there is like a burrito blanket company. And so
Yeah.
then, but there's this other company that was like putting up, they had this like splash page and they've stolen my money.
Oh my God,
So
it's like a fajita.
yeah, it's like you can kind of like wrap yourself in this blanket
It's
and
a
you
blanket that looks like a fajita. Oh, there's a bunch. Amazon has them.
yeah, so this is
Yeah.
my new thing now. So now because I'm nervous about these Instagram advertisers,
Yeah.
now when I see something on Instagram that I want to buy, then I just go over to Amazon and I see if it's available on Amazon because I trust Amazon. So,
Wow.
man.
That makes me like want to laugh inside. That's like I might just need to buy that. It literally looks like a fresh tortilla.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those ridiculous things. You're just like, "Oh, I
That's what
have to have
Instagram's
that."
for, right? I mean, I saw some cereal that was sugar free. It was, carb free. It was gluten free. It was everything free, which means it's built on
Air.
air and good feelings, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what goes into it, but I was like, oh wow, look, it's cereal. But yeah, something about that Instagram targeting. They're looking at me. They're watching
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It's the man out there. So okay, we were talking about this whole it's a trust issue. We could fix that by listening to sales. The effectiveness is important, and then the timing. Maybe you could talk to timing. Like, what kind of things could we do or propose to sales if maybe an op just opened, and if we're not going to
Mhm.
kill the nurturing, but we want to support the nurturing? What have you seen anything work in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's having a really strong arsenal of valuable content that you can provide and tools you can give somebody to use, right?
Right.
So I love right now, I love when I see brands actually creating sort of templates and worksheets that I can actually use to do my job better, right? So like a quick shout out to SaaS company Atrium. They
Oh,
have all different kinds, and they're not like super fancy. They're pretty simple. They're just like Google Sheet, kind of Excel sort of based templates for figuring out kind of commission structures, activity levels for SDRs, um, one-on-one kind of guides for have like one-on-ones with your sales team.
cool.
I've stumbled across this amazing arsenal of content. And so like I'd spent like one Saturday just living it up and like building out a bunch of processes, and I was relying on them. But now I'm in these nurture campaigns, and they're sending me more tools that they've created that I can use to do my job better based
Right.
on the types of things that I was engaging with before.
What's it
So
called? Atrium.
Atrium HQ, I think
Oh,
is
HQ. Because there's
yeah,
a
I
lot of
think is
things that are coming up. Okay, cool.
the domain. But I really appreciate that. And they're
Yeah.
helping me, right? Like, so they're
Right.
helping me. And regardless of whether I'm like really early in my journey, and maybe I'll never buy anything from them ever, which could
Sure.
very well maybe the case, right? But listen, I'm already evangelizing them.
You
I'm
totally.
already like, someone's going to go to the website, like after they hear this, and then like
For
some
sure.
salesperson's going to have a bluebird day and they're going to be like, what happened? But that's value. Like they're helping me, and they're giving me value first. So when I
Right.
think about what kind of content would you give somebody who's engaged in a sales process, it's
Right.
going to be something that's going to help them do their job better. So if I think, okay, you here's an example from a sales call we had yesterday. So we sell at SmartBug, we sell marketing and sales services,
Okay.
and so one of the things we do is we build websites, right? We build websites on HubSpot CMS, and we had a potential client who's like, all right, I'm interviewing these like 2 or 3 other agencies,
Sure.
and the end of the day, like everyone does the same thing, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone's going to give me a website. So why should I pick you? Right. That's really
Right.
what I want to know.
Yeah.
So I've got one of my sales people like on the spot to like say, all right, well, this is what makes us different. Not even knowing anything about the competitors that we're up against. So what I love about nurturing that, like I can think back to like another deal in the past where I was running point on it, and I had the prospect give me a call on my cell and say, you know what, you came in 20% higher, like more expensive than
Wow.
the other people we were talking to, but I've been enrolled in your nurture. Like I subscribe to your blog. I've been
Yeah.
receiving all these communications.
Sure.
You're practicing what you preach. So like, I'm gonna move forward with you because you've clearly demonstrated that you really understand this and you understand kind of the challenges that I have.
Yeah, and you're using it, and you're using it, and it's working on me. So do whatever you did for you on me. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
That's
I
cool.
think that's what I try to think about when you're going, all right, like what kinds of communications do I want to send someone in an opportunity or someone who maybe is a customer already?
Right.
It goes back to just how are you going to help them do their job better and help position you as being an authority, being a thought leader, being an expert in your space so that they continue to build trust and affinity with you.
Amazing. And you get all the benefits of it, like word of mouth with Atrium and all these folks, just from being helpful and not stepping on toes. And I'd even like sales rep, what would be the one thing you would want this person to see in front of their face while they're going through this deal with you? Like, what would you like? Oh, this case study they asked for, but they never looked at it. Cool. Let's send them that. Let's show them you won't. This is the right move. You won't get fired choosing this company. You'll actually get a promotion probably.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I love it. I think that, as we get our systems closer together and tied into each other, this goes away. This idea of the garbage nurturing and then sales just calling it what it is. I guess it's a good litmus test too, right? If sales is like, yeah, no thanks, then either it is crap or you should probably teach them what's in there so they better understand it.
Yeah. I mean, my sales reps would rather, there was this debate internally, like, well, not a debate, just a discussion really of like, what do we do with SQLs? So do we want SQLs to continue to be nurtured by marketing? Do we want sales to start dropping them into sequences? And my sales team's like, no, I trust marketing, right?
Oh,
like
wow.
I trust marketing. Right? And
are they sick? Are they ill? What's going on?
No, they're just, they're just fantastic, awesome people. But they trust that process. And then we have different tasks and notifications all along the way that are set up. So they know, okay, here's your list of these are the people that registered for this webinar and the webinar's on this date. And here's how you can see if they attended, if they didn't attend, if they attended, how long they were actually on the webinar. So we're marketing is sharing that data with sales. So sales trusts what they're getting from marketing and they trust keeping their prospects, in under marketing's wing for longer than they might if that transparency wasn't there.
Do you think it helps that you kind of cover both sales and marketing?
I think it does. I think it does because there's not like a sales ego and a marketing ego, right? Kind of like
it's just a sales and marketing ego. Is that what it is?
Just one ego.
Just one ego. As long as you please me, my marketing and sales children, we will be fine.
But like, that's like what I love about what I get to do. Right. So I'm a marketer who like transitioned into sales. I've sold software. I've sold other things, but
Yeah.
now it's like, I get to sell marketing. I get to sell something that I know really, really well. And
Yeah.
so I
And
don't
know the
feel like
customer really well. Like you've been there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't feel like a salesperson, right? I feel like I'm just like a consultant. I'm just helping people figure out what they need. And so that's kind of those are the types of salespeople I've hired. That's kind of the culture that we have as a sales organization. So that's why it works.
It feels like cheating, but also kind of fun to sell to yourself, or
Mm-hmm.
someone like yourself being in the marketing world. And I would say, are they more skeptical? Sometimes, but sometimes I actually click on things and fill things out just to see what happens, So it's almost like, but also if I see really bad marketing, I just like outright reject it on principle,
Right.
regardless of the tool.
Right. No, yes, I know. I think we do that like with kind of all aspects, like all facets of life, like not just marketers, right? Like we look at once you really understand something and have an appreciation for like the art and science of it,
Yeah.
you can like spot a phony, or like you can call out kind of like big mistakes. And we're as human beings, we have a hard time letting go of those.
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. Like one example was this company called Dapulse, Dapulse.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, I can't possibly feel right about buying something called Dapulse. Please change your name. Like and every time they had a Facebook ad popping up saying, hey, Dapulse is here, I'm like, this is not the name I want to purchase from. And apparently they changed it to Monday.com. Okay, I'll take it. Day of the week, fine. Monday isn't everyone's favorite day of the week, but I'll take it as opposed to Dapulse.
That's funny.
Bad marketing. Do you recall any of the latest bad marketing you've received?
Oh, the latest bad marketing I received. Okay, so this is cheating. This is cheating. But
Yes.
I was scrolling through my like Facebook memories. So, and I'd taken a picture of something from a few years ago. So it's fresh in my mind, but
Nice.
So it was an outdoor ad, and it was for buying a new home, like a new home build.
Okay.
And it was this time of year, right in the fall. And it was get a free pumpkin with every new home build. And then in fine print, it said like pumpkin, like it said like product not to exceed $7. Like product value, like the value of the pumpkin, right? Not to exceed $7.
Like they need to give them a $50 pumpkin, people.
So
it doesn't even matter.
I have a picture of it. So
wow.
The reason why this is just, it's so bad is it's like, okay. Right. And the ad itself, like 80% of the ad space is dedicated to the picture of the pumpkin.
Not the house.
Okay, right?
So but it can't be more than $7. That's a cheap pumpkin. Those are small. I mean, pumpkins
right? I haven't purchased a pumpkin in a really long time, so I'm not exactly sure.
Where are
what
you
the
based
value
out of?
But is anybody going to really buy a house or choose this home builder because they get a free $7 pumpkin?
Right. Like a big purchase thanks to the pumpkin.
So I looked at that ad and I'm like, this is an outdoor ad. Like there was costs for designing this ad. This is where my marketing brain, I go like, what the heck? Cost for designing this, for printing it, for the ad space, I thought about all of the costs that were involved in this incentive that did not make any sense at all. And there's stuff like that I see. I'm like, that's just the one that's like fresh in my mind. But it's like, make sure that if you are offering an incentive, make sure it's actually relevant.
Oh, yeah.
And like it's relevant to your buyer. It's relevant like based on like the whatever it is that you're selling. And it's like equitable. Like it just makes sense with the purchase.
Totally. It would have been super, like, it would have been hilarious if they kind of went SNL on it, made it kind of tongue in cheek, and they're like, buy a big house, pumpkin free, priceless, or something like that. Where they're like, you're like, oh my God, you guys are hilarious. And then everyone jokes about the free pumpkin, but it sounds like they probably were serious.
Yeah, I can send you the ad. It looks pretty serious.
Yeah, it's like, there's pumpkin. But okay, and you're in Arizona? Is that right?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I'm up in New Hampshire. We have pumpkins all over the place, but yeah, probably not too many pumpkins in Arizona. So $7 of a pumpkin gets you like one of those mini things that are the size of a mug, right? That's
Yeah.
if that. It's for a house. You know, I had one that was a little bit nicer. It was if you can buy this really expensive SaaS software by Friday, we'll give you a free iPad. But
Mm,
it was not like the kind of DePulse stuff where maybe you can just throw a credit card. This is like large scale
yeah.
enterprise decision where you have to get like 3 or 4 people to approve it.
Right.
And it just felt kind of like you got robbed because you're like, I would like an iPad. I really wanted to get the I want to get the software, but like I'm not a decision maker. I need to push 4 or 5 people to make this decision. And this is a long process. So I kind of felt cheated to be rushed into a prize when it was just like 9 month sales cycle.
Right. I mean, I think that's one of the problems even with SaaS products and with like end of month or end of quarter or end of year incentives.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden you're giving away all of your value.
Yeah.
You're like things aren't worth whatever they are, so like today you can discount it 50%, but tomorrow, no,
Right.
and I think that's starting to, we've accepted it as being kind of our standard, the norm,
Mhm.
but I think as just consumers, we're starting to feel uncomfortable with it,
Yeah.
and we're taking issue, and we're seeking price transparency.
Yeah.
And if you can easily, like, if someone can easily like slash the cost of something like that much, then that shows me how much you value or don't value what it is.
Right.
And then I started to wonder, well, how much am I being overcharged to begin with?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you go down that hole of discounting, it's like never ending. But a lot of the savvy, and you see this in sales all the time, probably, where okay, the deal expired on Thursday. Well, I
Mhm.
want it today. If you want my business, you're going to give it to me today. Like, what are you going to do? Say no, not
Right,
sign
right.
it? I mean, maybe some large enterprise, but the deadline for that, some people maybe drives some people, but a lot of the savvy people are like, okay, great. Now I know that you can discount that price and I'm going to buy it
Right,
in 3 months at that price.
right,
It
right.
doesn't drive the urgency like people thought it might.
Right, exactly. But that, I mean, this all circles back to making sure you're communicating with people in a very relevant way,
Right.
because I could think about like every salesperson, you should be able to look at your pipeline and be able to say, these are the people that actually are going to, like, it makes sense, they're going to buy this quarter or they're going to buy this month, and here are the people
Right.
who they're just not ready, right? They're just not ready.
Right.
So sending that kind of a promotion to them just isn't, it's just going to cause more friction. It's not going to help.
Right.
um and so but marketing needs to get that feedback from sales based off of the way things are kind of like tagged or logged in their CRM.
Mhm.
They're not, a marketer who's sending out an email campaign isn't going to have this intimate knowledge of like what's going on with each deal. And yeah, maybe all that information is like on the Jill record somewhere, on that opportunity
Mhm.
record, but it has to be reportable, right?
Yeah.
So like, I was just talking to one of my reps yesterday because he was like saving up this, like, he was hoarding all these deals in quote delivered, and we have this quote delivered stage, but there were no date on them. Like, he said there was nothing that he felt like he could then put a date on to say, all right, like, this is, I'm going to commit to this. They're all like, and they all, for one reason or another, they're not a no, they're not a not now. They're just a little bit stagnated.
Yeah.
So I said, we have to do something with these people, because they're kind of in this, they're like in a purgatory. They're like in a marketing purgatory.
Right.
So let's create a separate deal stage that's around like internal stagnation, right?
Yeah, sure.
And now let's
Stalled
have
deal. Yeah,
marketing.
sure.
Yeah, let's have marketing build out specific nurture campaigns to keep them engaged. Um, that that are done with that specific intention, right? Okay, hey, marketing,
Right.
these are contacts at organizations who very much want to work with us, but for some reason or another, their things are not moving like as quickly as we normally have things moving along, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we want to make sure we're staying top of mind without being obnoxious.
Right.
So,
And
and there you
that'd be
go,
a perfect drip, right?
right?
And that way this rep doesn't have to obsess over these accounts that really aren't ready at all right now, and waste
Hmm.
his or her time, and can focus on ones that are ready to buy. And meanwhile, marketing can do what it can do, to
Right.
warm those puppies up. Yeah. And the way it should be.
Yep. Absolutely.
So question for you.
Mm.
You are a fellow podcaster. Talk to me about podcasts. How do they fit into marketing and where? And I mean, I love it. It seems like it's kind of coming into its heyday. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, I love podcasts myself. I love seeing podcasts kind of be born, and I love the just the simplicity of them and the ease of both kind of creating and also consuming.
Sure.
So at SmartBug we have I host a podcast called SmartBug on Tap,
Nice.
and it's a micro podcast. So the whole concept behind it is to give these like really quick, like anywhere between like 5 to maybe 15 at the most minute breakdowns of like helping kind of solve a problem or something for people to kind of be thinking about. The
Yeah.
idea is like my hope is that at the end of each episode, someone could actually do something with that information, like
Right.
go
Yeah,
and
totally.
practice right now, right?
Yep.
Um, and versus like if it was a longer podcast and there were a bunch of like great ideas, someone would have to be like taking notes or and you get busy, right? So just
Right.
that one kind of like micro concept. And so and call it Smart Bug on Tap because it's all it's even though it's just me as the host,
Mhm.
it's I'm pulling information from like the brains from like the mind hive of all of the smart bugs. So
Yeah, that's
it's
cool.
kind of the idea of like getting a chance just to listen to some people who I think are pretty smart. Um, so, but what I love about podcasting is it has an intimacy to it
Mhm.
that no other medium has
Hmm.
because you're right there with people. I mean, when I'm listening to a podcast, I'm usually like putting on my makeup or doing my hair or making my coffee in the morning. Maybe I'm driving somewhere, but it's just me and then that person or those people who I'm listening to.
Right.
And they become kind of friends, kind of confidants. Um, at my last company, which is Allbound, a software company,
Hmm.
I also hosted a podcast, and that was a longer format interview style podcast. But what I discovered is that when I would go to conferences, when I go to events, people would come up to me and they would feel like they knew me or they would act like they knew me. I would feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know who they are. What's wrong? It's like, well, they've been listening to me talk to them like on their morning run every day, like all
Yeah,
year, but I'm just meeting them now. And that it creates this it just creates this, like I said, this intimacy, and this it helps build a relationship
I
at
agree. Yeah.
scale, which
Hmm.
is such a cool concept.
Yeah. I mean, in it kind of serves all the purposes on the marketing side, but at the same time, um, I like that connection. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, ROI, that's calculated or whatnot, but sometimes I just want to try things and do things that help me connect with people. Like
Yeah.
me connecting with you here, other people listening, connecting with me, connecting with you. That just seems right,
Yeah.
and a good way to deliver content. Now, but what about the other side? I mean, are you spending money on it, and then you're investing time into it? So are you able to track? Are you able to see a return on your podcast, or is it more of a branding
Yeah.
exercise?
So, I mean, I think that someone needs to come disrupt the space, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like, I think there's such an amazing opportunity for better analytics for podcasts. I have yet to see anything that satisfies. I think what like marketers are really looking for from like an attribution perspective.
right.
But and we're not spending any. We bought some equipment, but and then there's the cost of there's the time involved in actually like writing and recording, and then there's
Sure.
the time or cost involved in kind of editing. And kind of loading things up, and then we just promote it just the way we would promote any other kind of content, blog content, or any other kind of organic content. Um, so there's that. But one of the most interesting ways that we've really used data from podcasts is keeping track. You can see like how many downloads an episode,
Right. Yep.
as something has gotten, right? So one of the things that we noticed is there were particular topics that would that would consistently outperform all the other topics.
Wow.
And so that we use that insight to say, all right, for our next campaign that's unrelated to our podcast, right? For our next campaign, let's focus this campaign around this particular topic, because we're seeing like these kind of hot spots, right? In what people are consuming with the podcast. And so because podcasting is it's so lightweight and it's so effortless, you're able to like gather that data and then put it into use, put it into practice really, really quickly. And that's one of the things I just love about it.
The value testing of that is really interesting. I'd never thought about that. It reminds me of the old PPC testing. My friend Sean McCarthy's like a wizard at AdWords. And one of the things I learned from him was, like, here's this value, like learn French, have fun doing it, or learn French because it's easy or because it's fast. And like, what are the values that appeal to certain types of people? And it's almost like market testing without even leaving your door. Like Tim Ferriss does that too, right? So this is kind of a way of doing that, especially if it's a short podcast on a particular topic.
Yeah.
And then see what's popular. That makes sense. What are they like tactical topics that end up being popular?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So like in our case, the one it was all things around SEO. So it was all like quick tips for SEO. It was anything we did SEO related. And so then we did a webinar that was, we had done a couple of webinars. One was on like really like unique ways of finding like keywords. Another one was a little bit more like technical SEO. But when I looked at, so we'd start with the podcast, then we said, all right, let's do some that are like webinars. And then looked at those, and those webinars consistently outperformed the other webinars in terms of like registration size. We're like, okay, we have now the podcasts are doing well with this topic. The webinars are, let's write some more blog content for it. Let's actually like build out some more campaigns for it. So just you're taking that kind of market feedback. And so it's just an effortless, lightweight way to like make some decisions without having to invest in any fancy schmancy tools, right? You're just listening to what you're just paying attention. You're just looking and listening to like what people are engaging with.
Right. And I think people are engaging with it because I've helped a few people launch podcasts and they're like, oh, at what point am I selling my products? And I'm like, at no point are you selling your product. Please don't do that. Yeah. There seems this sort of unwritten rule of like, the whole point is not this. People do not tune in to hear a bunch of advertisements. They tune in to like either hear a conversation or friendly banter, maybe learn something or just zone out for a bit. And by there you build a relationship and that builds the trust and all the other things can come from it. But it's not that pushy direct sales thing. I think if it is, people just immediately bounce from it.
Yeah. It is true. So it's just all about like, hopefully for those people who are asking, when do I sell my stuff on my podcast? It's like, well, hopefully their blog is not doing that either, right? Hopefully their blog is educating, is helping, is not about them, is about their potential customers and is about their pains. And that's what's most important, right?
What about, are you seeing web chat, especially because you're in that marketing and sales world? I've definitely, it's been sort of a thing in the B2C world. I remember decades ago, somebody had an issue with shipping or discount or whatever, and you chatted, and if they purchased, there's a cookie in there, and it would ring like a cash register on your computer, like cha-ching, just made a sale. It was cool. But I'm seeing it now with new vendors and new people coming into space. Like the B2B world is suddenly like, here's chat. Yep. Are you using it now? And what are your thoughts on it?
So we have live chat on our site. I've played with live chat. I play with bots. The live chat gets more engagement than the bots do. But for us, for who we sell to, which we sell to marketers for the most part, we don't get a lot of engagement with the chat. We get a lot of people looking for a job or my favorites that we get these questions and I'm like, this is someone trying to pass a test. Like this is copied and pasted from an
exam. Are you serious?
100%. Yes. 100%.
Like a business school SEO exam or something?
Like there was one time where I actually called it out. Like I knew exactly what it was from and it was from like HubSpot social media certification. And I actually wrote back to the person. I was like, it looks like you're taking HubSpot social media certification class. Good luck. best of luck. I can't help you. Because they literally copied and pasted the question. So yeah, but then there's like students who are
I
like,
never thought, man, if I was a student these days, I would be all over that. I'd be like,
it's crazy. It's crazy what you could have access to. So we get a lot of junk. But when I think about like our clients and who's really using it well, they are more B2C. On that end, but I know there are a lot of B2B companies that are using live chat. And from what I've gathered, the majority are using it to book sales meetings faster. So I don't think chat's not replacing any kind of nurture, right?
sure.
It's not replacing, I don't see email going away anytime soon. But chat, if chat and bots are configured properly and effectively, they can be a really great tool for getting people to the information they need, like quickly and easily.
Right.
So I think it comes down to how it's used, and it's not like a magic thing, right? Just like you don't buy marketing automation and it's not just automagical and like all of a sudden like money falls from the sky, right? Like
inbound's not magical either, right? You don't just
right.
buy a blog and leads flow like
Right.
like waterfall.
Right. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of work
is.
that goes into it. So I just say just be wary just be conscious of the time investment that it takes to actually get it set up and operating effectively, and make sure it's tied into your overall strategy, and really test it and like have people tinker with it and try to break it. Because it will ultimately inevitably like that will happen, right? Like so just try to do whatever you can to like punch holes in it before you really go all in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense to do that. And not drink the Kool-Aid, but like make sure you're eating some healthy food as well, not just the Kool-Aid. There's a lot of it out there,
It just depends on like, are your buyer personas going to engage with chat?
Yeah.
Right. And there's not like one answer to any of like to that question, right? Like that's why you do your buyer persona research and you identify, because some people have pretty strong opinions of whether they want, chat or not. Like personally, I do like it, right? Like if I'm as a consumer, if I'm on someone's side, or even like for in my business role, if I'm looking for a quick answer to a question, I'm going to gravitate towards the chat because I'm impatient and I want the answer right then and there. But if you're going to, if you're not going to be able to satisfy those needs, then I would rather have it be gone, right? Like there's nothing worse to me than like I remember one time I was booking, like I was for car maintenance, and I'm like, oh, the online chat, and I'm going and I'm like chatting back and forth, and they're like, okay, like what are the options? And I just wanted to schedule it. I just wanted to schedule the service. Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to log in because I couldn't remember my password and whatever the reasons were. I just wanted something quick and easy, but the chat elongated my experience. It didn't shorten my experience. Right. So that was frustrating for me. So now I won't use it ever again. So it just, depends on how you're going to be implementing it, and if you can effectively serve the customer.
It's like you still have to do it right. It's one thing to have the tool, the tech or whatnot, but you still need to do it right. It doesn't just out of the box work itself.
Right. Yeah.
Some what was it? Some building may apply, or some alterations.
Yep.
Batteries not included. So, curious, this question, because I know you're in the sales world, you've been in the marketing world, now you're sales and marketing. If there was something that you wish marketers knew, because a lot of marketers listen to this podcast, as a sales leader, if there's something you wish marketing knew about sales, like what would it be? If there was like one or two things that marketers may not have your experience where you've done both, you've seen sort of, there's no villain here. We're just two different people trying to do their job. What would it be?
Sales is harder than most people think, and it's more demanding, And so the thing I want marketers to know is that they're probably expecting too much of a sales rep. And I'm not saying that because it's like sales reps are dim or whatever. That's not it at all. But when I took like a sales seat and carried a quota and was managing my pipeline and having discovery calls and building proposals and managing negotiations, it became hard to keep up with what content we were creating and producing, what the editorial calendar looked like. The simplest thing, like showing me, like if you're giving me a segmented list of just my contacts who registered for a webinar but didn't actually attend it, like that is gold to me, because the last thing I want to do is get on the phone with somebody and say, oh, what'd you think of the webinar? And then find out, well, they didn't actually attend it. They registered, but they didn't actually attend it, right? And as a marketer, you might think, oh, well, you can just kind of finesse the conversation or whatever. And we, as salespeople, we kind of do, right? We've got like the bullshit gene, right? Like we can kind of like have that kind of conversation, right. But it's unrealistic to expect sales to know everything that's happening in marketing and like everything that's happening with a particular like prospect, and be able to like do their job. You've got all these different checklists of things that you've got to do to satisfy. So my advice to marketing is just think about how you can make it easier for sales to be effective in helping that person, that human being, transition from being in the hands of marketing into the hands of sales.
God, that's awesome. Who are you? Where did you come from? Like, take me back to like the days gone by, little Jen days, you know, like, did you always know you're going to be destined for sales and marketing fame?
Well, I was always really bossy. So maybe. So, you know, it's interesting. Because I started my career as a high school English and theater arts teacher, but if we go back much further back.
Go back further.
How
do we even get there? That's interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have to walk into that.
Yeah. If I really think about it, so I think it was in fourth grade. And we studied like the Oregon Trail.
Okay.
And so then we had this like interactive classroom, like assignment where we had these groups. It was like the first people to kind of like get across the country. They kind of found this like group. I mean, I'm trying to remember from fourth grade. This was quite a while ago. But then as you kind of finished, you could join a team, and you have to kind of pitch to them, like, this is the contribution I can make. I can be the treasurer, or I can be a miner, I can, whatever you're going to do. So mine was, I published a newsletter. So I created like a magazine, it was just like a one page, like two-sided kind of document that had stories, that had articles about like what the different teams were up to and kind of what was going on. It was like this little magazine, and I'd gone to my teacher and said, and he was like, yeah, sure. And he like mimeographed it, you know,
wow.
It was like before copy machines and stuff. And so I created that, right? Yeah. Like wrote the stories and interviewed, and was this journalist. So I think like, yeah, in a way it's like storytelling, and storytelling and promotion and evangelism, right. I think was always ingrained in me.
Yeah. And so like early on, you're this, and then you decide to go into education in college?
I wanted to go, when I went to college originally, it was, I was going to major in English and minor in theater, and I was going to major in journalism, minor in theater, and I was going to be a theater critic for, the New York Times.
Well, the journalism started early, so you're just carrying it on.
Yeah. And then I got to, I had like my first couple of months in college, and realized that as I kind of started to meet with journalists, most journalists didn't have journalist backgrounds. They were just really good writers, and they were very curious people. And so I realized when I looked at the curriculum of journalism and I looked at the curriculum of English, I was going to get much more writing experience if I got a degree in English. And so, and then I thought, well, I can't just get a degree in English. Like, what will I do with that?
Yeah, that's like our
And
language.
yeah, I was like, what do I do with that? So which there's plenty to do with it, but at the time I like couldn't see past just what I knew. And meanwhile, I'd always been a good writer. I'd always done well with essays. And so people in my dorm were coming to me on a regular basis to have me edit and give them feedback on their essays.
Sure.
And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed helping people along, along that journey that they were on. And so that's when I transitioned into a degree in English, or degree in like a secondary education. It was like drama, journalism, and classics was kind of my field of study. But I always knew I wasn't going to be a teacher forever. I knew it was just something for that moment that would help me stay doing what it is that I love to do. So I just wanted to surround myself with the kind of work that I was enjoying.
Right. And is managing school kids like managing sales reps, or
you'd be surprised?
Is that helpful?
Surprisingly, can be very similar. Yeah, no, I student taught 7th grade language arts.
Okay.
And which it takes a special soul to teach middle school, people who do it. God bless you. But
everyone's confused about everything in junior high.
Oh my gosh. So if you can do that, you can do pretty much anything. But no, I think when I think about like when I taught like sophomore English and I'm trying to explain to like a 15-year-old boy why Shakespeare is important in his life and why it's relevant, that's the hardest sale I've ever had to do. Right. So
that's so true.
There's quite a bit. Or when you think about like building a marketing campaign and you kind of start with the end in mind, like what do you want like the result to be? Like that's what writing a lesson plan is. It's okay, what will the students learn? And then the students are going to learn like XYZ. And then you have to like reverse engineer what steps you're going to take to get them to like achieve that learning. It's the same thing for marketing and sales. And so it's just such a good fit. So I think it's very, very aligned.
Wow. And it's funny how that's cool. You picked up on the fact that you didn't need to get a degree in journalism or English or anything to really be what you wanted eventually. I think we all kind of are caught up in the bug, which maybe is not, it's more transparent now where people are starting to realize like, hey, like, why did I spend all this money, or why did I do all this for this degree? I mean, mine was computer science, and it was like, oh, well, I actually just want to play around online. I don't really want to like actually code microprocessors. That's not really what I'm doing. And here I end up in marketing. So you're right. I think for those people still in that or advising people, it's do things that interest you and don't worry about the actual career that comes out of that. Do internships for that part.
Right. I mean, there's definitely some things where you have to have that education background, right? There's some careers that are in that place, but I'll never forget my son. I have twin boys. They're almost 16 and they're, just their minds are spinning right now with college and what do I want to be and studying and feeling this pressure. And so one of my sons said to me, we were like emptying the dishwasher and he's like, Mom, when did you go back to school and get your degree in marketing? And because he knew what my degree was and he knew I'd been a teacher. And I said, I didn't. And I mean, he almost like dropped the plates on the ground, like right in that moment. He was like so shocked because it just broke every idea that he like all of these ideas he had about like what it meant to kind of grow up and what it meant to kind of study. And I said, no, I didn't, but I accepted every opportunity to learn and grow. And I like pulled the threads I felt compelled to pull. And I took risks along the way and worked really, really hard. And luckily my skills were easily transferable. And
you got into theater after school, right? It wasn't even immediately into it wasn't teaching, or it was like theater. Was that what happened?
I did teach theater also. So I taught English and theater.
Oh, cool.
And then so I left teaching. I left teaching. It was like 4 years in, and while I was a teacher, I was volunteering with Arizona Theater Company, which is a professional regional nonprofit theater here in Arizona where I live.
Cool.
And there was a program that was at the time called the Wasserstein Project. So it was based off of playwright Wendy Wasserstein. She had this notion like that she had a career in theater as a playwright because she had been exposed to arts. And there are so many young people in our country, let alone the world, right? But in our country that aren't exposed to arts. And they could become like art lovers and maybe even have careers in arts, but they're just not, they don't know it exists, right?
Yeah.
Or they don't realize that there's something there for them. So I had this opportunity. I was young, I was like right out of college, and I volunteered to take students from my school that I was teaching at, drive them. I gave up every Saturday for a semester of my life, right? But I got to see all kinds of theater, and I got to like go to ballets and the symphony. And the idea was that you take these students, you expose them, then we like kind of QA, like we talk through things at the end. They get to meet an artist, and then they are writing and they're journaling, and then the theater company would kind of follow them like as they matured and became like adults, and to see if they become lifelong theater lovers, like if they become like subscribers, if they like buy tickets, or if they become donors. And so the punchline is yes, they do, right? So
really?
the more exposure, then the more likely they're going to be to have an appreciation and consume. So this is my long-winded way of saying there was this, at one point, the theater company had received a grant to actually create like a full-time education position to be this liaison between like the community at large and the theater. And I considered it like a golden ticket opportunity. And I remember like I actually took a pay cut from teaching to take this job, which was absolutely insane.
Which is crazy because teachers don't really get paid much anyways.
Yeah, I am like, I don't know, I was nuts. But and I was in that role for just about 6 months when the director of marketing at the time was like, you know what, we've had a really hard time finding up someone for PR to run PR for us, and I think you'd be really great at it. And I'm like, I don't know anything about PR, but I knew a lot about theater. And I knew enough about like how to convince someone, like going back to like the 15-year-old boy and why Shakespeare is important.
Right.
And so I ended up getting into marketing in this, like within the cultural, like, comfort of the theater.
Wow. And had you always done theater growing up, or?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, like middle school, high school, college. I was the chair for I went to University of Arizona, and there's a university activities board and an arts committee. And so I was the chair for that. And so we would put on different like productions that were not associated with like the college, like the theater itself. So I'd always done like things like little things like that, for
That's
sure. Cool. So
that's cool. So I was sharing with you earlier, I did something similar. I like ran our theater company at the college I went to. And it was kind of more training for me for when I got out than even the classes that I attended. And it was kind of always something. So I could see how taking this leap and doing this theater program, how did you go from working in the theater company to now being a sales and marketing VP thought leader podcaster?
So I was at Arizona Theater Company for 8 years. And by the time I left, I was really tired. Like nonprofit is hard. It was hard. I would like go to bed at night sometimes like going, okay, if we don't sell $40,000 in tickets tomorrow, we can't make payroll on Friday.
Oh,
like
no.
That kind of pressure.
Yeah.
So I got to a point where it was just too much. And I knew I needed to make a change. And so I started looking at, positions like in the B2B space. And so that it was just, honestly, it was exhaustion, and just needing to kind of get something new, do something new, and maybe like think about going back, after some time. So from there, ended up getting into like SaaS, and went through amazing opportunity to take a small software company and take it through, grow it, help help get acquired
Sure.
by a company, see through that acquisition, kind of feel what it's like to be in like deal with like mergers and acquisitions.
Yikes.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that was really, really it. But the thing about like thought leadership and kind of brand building is I've always been scrappy. So
Mm,
I had never worked for a company where there was like a lot of money for anything. It was just like, even when I was a teacher, right? It's just like, you got to make do, you got to do, you figure out how to work with what you've got.
right.
And the thing that's always been free is my own creativity.
Sure. Yeah.
So, it's just, and otherwise it's just time. It's time, effort, and creativity. Those are things that don't cost money.
I like that. And I think the restriction on that can make you really not only appreciate everything else, but also it can create some amazing results because it's like that pressure on the coal turns into diamond. Like, you don't have a million things you can try. You don't have budget for 1,000 things.
Right.
This really needs to work. If it doesn't, you need to change it right away.
Yeah. And you need to be able to move quickly. Right.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then you test and you tinker, and that's why digital marketing is so exciting, because you can put something out there today, and if you're not pleased with it, you can take it down tomorrow.
Right. True.
And so it's, or you can iterate on it, and it's fun and exciting. And so I think that I gravitated towards that, like towards all of that energy, because it was just so much in line with the way that I had been working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of fit your personality
Yeah.
to do that. That makes sense. If you were to, I have a situation for you. If you were to discover a time machine and then hop in that and go back to the very beginning of your career, could be when you got out of school, you're going to do all
Mhm.
these different things.
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself? Like if you give yourself advice, going back,
Hmm.
you're fresh out of
Yeah.
school, what would you tell yourself?
So let me see if I can answer this in like two different ways.
Okay.
So as more of like a personal career growth, like speaking to like younger gen, I
Sure.
would say, I would tell myself that I'm worth more, and that I know more than I think I do. Because early in my career, I had this idea that like I wasn't as smart or as good as anybody else around me. And I created these barriers for myself that were really non-existent.
Right.
So that's like one thing, for like a personal, like that's what I would want to tell myself.
For sure.
From like a sales marketing leader person, I wish earlier on in my marketing career, I had sat on more sales calls.
Ah.
So like that's something like very, very tactical that I'm like, ooh, why did I not do that? Like I wish I would have done that. I wish someone would have told me to do it.
It's so true, right? Because you learn so much from them.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, it's like, and you can't even describe all the different things that come out of it. And it's not even what's said. Sometimes it's what's not said,
Exactly.
or the
Yeah.
questions that people are asking. I one time sat in on one, and the prospect said, "Who are you again, and what do you do?" And I was like, "Wow, this is terrible. This is not qualified at all.
Yeah.
I got some work to do."
Yeah.
And it went about fixing it.
Yeah.
So I'm with you 100% on that one.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be at? Any events coming up? Anything
Yeah.
you're going to be going to?
So this an event that I really love. It's the B2B marketing exchange.
Yeah.
So it'll be in February here in sunny Arizona, in Scottsdale, Arizona. So I always love that event. Really amazing quality of like the content, very, very specific tracks.
Yeah.
So you're able to like, I never feel like a session I go to is like wasted. It's very much aligned with where I am in my career and what my goals are, what I'm looking to achieve.
Right.
I'm speaking again this year, and my session's all about what marketing needs to do to prepare sales to like effectively enable sales for a campaign launch, which is
Right.
something I'm obviously like really passionate about. But
Totally.
The other factor is a client of SmartBug's, Quest Software. They've got their division of their SaaS division, Spotlight Cloud. Two of their team members are actually coming out and they're joining me, and so they're gonna like actually get into like the weeds of like what they do, and they sell like a freemium product. So they're gonna. I think it's gonna be really relevant for a lot of people. So I'm super excited, and they're just great people in general. So I'm excited to actually get to welcome them to the state that I'm living in now, and spend some time with them and learn some build up my own marketing and sales skill set at the conference.
Right. Yeah, I went to the one up in Boston. I don't know if you were at that one.
The B2B Sales and Marketing Exchange.
Yes. Is that different?
Yes. So that one has, there was one just in Boston recently. I was there as well.
Okay, cool.
I was speaking in the Flip My Funnel track. So that was like, it had
cool.
the Rev Talks
I was there. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, we miss each other.
Totally.
Yeah. So there was the Flip My Funnel, the Rev tracks, and then there was the like demand gen track.
Yeah, exactly.
So they kind of combined sort of like three conferences kind of in one. So this one's just marketing. So
got it. So we kicked the salespeople out.
Yeah. No.
You could be half there.
So yeah, I know. I get to check both boxes. That's great.
Right, totally. Where can people connect with you? Like LinkedIn, Twitter. Where should people reach out?
I'm super social. So Twitter at Jen Spencer, LinkedIn just Jen Spencer. There's a couple of Jennifer Spencers and stuff out there, but I'm the one who works for SmartBug. All I ask is if you send me a connection request on LinkedIn, let me know that you listen to this podcast. Right. So then I have some context for, how we might know each other. That'd be really helpful.
Otherwise, you're one of those people that sends the thing and then you connect and then they send you spam immediately afterward. It drives me crazy. So don't do that.
Yeah, I just disconnect with those people after.
I block with hatred. I do. I report, I block. No, you're gone. You're dead to me. Yeah. So SmartBug in your podcast is smartbugmedia.com/podcast, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's where to go.
Cool.
SmartBug on tap.
Yeah. On tap. The micro podcast. Get a little, was it like 10-minute quick hit or 5-minute?
Some of them are like 4 or 5 minutes and some of them are a little bit longer. So it just depends on how much I have to say on a topic, I guess.
Right? No, I bet you can really crank those out too and get some good tips going from all the other bugs.
Yeah.
In the hive.
It's fun.
Well, thanks again for coming on here. I mean, I've learned a bunch. I've had a fun time just chatting, hashing it up, talking theater.
Awesome. It's been great. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, right on. And for everyone out there listening, if you learned something, I know you did because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here, then share this with someone else. Be a thought leader to one person, even 2 people. Oh my gosh, 3 people. Just share this with people so they can learn from you as well. I mean, we talked about so many cool things here. The referrals, the timing, the trust issues, how to work with the timing with sales on those opportunities and the nurture. So get this in other people's hands so they can learn. Check out the Micro Podcast. And Jen, what can I say? Thank you again so much for being on here.
No, it's my pleasure. It's I always love talking shop, so this has been great.
Anytime. We'll have to have you back and talk more things later.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Everyone out there listening, this has been the Hardcore Marketing Show. We'll catch you all next time.